It's Tuesday, July 23. In the headlines, Education Ministry addresses teacher recruitment and retention issues. In business news, hundreds of applications received for the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative. Regionally, in Barbados, Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean team to assess damages caused by Hurricane Beryl. And in sports, Olympic champion Hansel Parchment to defend his title. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. As Jamaica's education system grapples with significant challenges in teacher recruitment and retention, the Ministry of Education and Youth has rolled out various strategies to address these issues and ensure schools are adequately staffed for the upcoming academic year. Portfolio Minister Favour Williams highlighted some of these measures in a recent press brief. Danita Rodney has the details.
At a recent press conference on the Hurricane Beryl disaster recovery plan for the education sector, Minister of Education and Youth, Favour Williams, addressed concerns about the recruitment of international teachers. In response to questions regarding whether these teachers would possess the necessary skills to educate Jamaican students, Williams assured that they would receive assistance through a comprehensive orientation program.
So we've had teachers from across the world. They have assimilated, and I know even now in our system, when you look, we have teachers from Cuba, and we've had those consecutive years going now. There are teachers in our system currently from other countries. We have to ensure that we have teachers with the specialization in the hard subjects like mathematics, science subjects. And of course, they will go through orientation to our culture or curriculum. But I want to assure you that this is something that that it's not strange to the education sector.
She stated that to address the current teacher shortage, the ministry has implemented a range of solutions, which includes utilizing retired teachers.
I wouldn't say it's a band-aid solution. It's a basket of solutions that we've employed coming out of COVID and facing the issue of migration, whether it be out of the profession and into another industry locally, because that happens, or out of the profession in Jamaica and into the profession in another country. So we have had to assess our situations, and to the extent that there are teachers who have retired and they want to continue in the education sector, if they've retired within the last, was it 3 years? 3 years. We welcome them.
The Education Minister added that additional strategies include streamlining the recruitment process for new teachers.
We continue to produce new teachers. We have 10 teacher training institutions in Jamaica, including those institutions with teacher faculties, teacher education faculties. They continue to produce new teachers. We're expecting another 1,200 or so new teachers into the system. We've created a portal through which new teachers can upload their resumes. Schools that are looking for teachers can put up that information as well, so that there's a better matching, and we cut down the time used to search. And these are some of the strategies that we have to use.
Minister Williams assured those present that the ministry is employing all available strategies to meet the necessary requirements for schools to be fully operational by September. For the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Members of the public are being cautioned that the island's mosquito population has increased due to the rainy season, even as the Health and Wellness Ministry steps up efforts to control the population growth. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton and members of his team explained the situation at a recent press brief. Medical entomologist at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Shireen Huntley-Jones, says Jamaicans should expect to see more rodents, flies, nuisance mosquitoes and the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes in the coming weeks. She says the dengue-carrying Aedes aegypti mosquitoes population will strive longer.
For the Aedes aegypti, however, the population will take about 3 weeks after the event to go up, and that will continue over longer periods of time, depending on how we manage those containers.
For his part, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton noted that increased vector control should cut the period of increased mosquito population.
We're extending fogging activities to 7 days a week, and this is both morning and evenings, with special emphasis on urban centers and high-risk communities. As such, we are covering some 18 to 20 communities per fogging session and 30 for larvicidal work.
Dr. Tufton says they have increased vector control personnel to widen coverage.
So we intend to engage an additional 400 vector control workers to bring the current number of temporary workers to 1,000. They will be assigned to high-risk communities to identify and treat breeding sites. In addition, they will assist with the fogging activity, so the larvicidal activity that takes place. So you will recall that in the past, and even now, we have these workers, 600 of them approximately currently, we're going to up that to 1,000, that go out in communities, visit homes, inspect water catchment areas, identify the mosquito breeding sites, and then treat with them.
According to Minister Tufton, private pest control operators have been engaged to strengthen mosquito controlling measures.
Up to this point, we are targeting approximately 10 private contractors. If there are others out there, because you have to have a certain level of certification to be a private contractor, we're willing also to engage based on the extent to which the challenge is there. And the intention is to engage these private contractors over the next 2 months or so until we can get the...
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, will assume the presidency of the 117th session of the Council of Ministers of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, scheduled to take place in Brussels, Belgium, between July 23 to July 26. Minister Johnson-Smith explains in a press release that this meeting of the Council takes place at a particular critical juncture for the organization, and that ministers from across the Caribbean, Africa and Pacific regions will therefore be gathering in hybrid format to engage in dialogue on the OACPS work program. The intention is to address growing resource challenges and to agree on concrete ways in which the organization can respond more effectively to the needs and interests of its members. Ministers are also expected to consider the work being done to facilitate the implementation of the Samoa Agreement between the European Union and OACP parties. The OACPS comprises a membership of 79 countries, which represents over 41% of the total membership of the United Nations. This week, our Living Healthy report has a second part of our feature on prostate. Consultant urologist at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Belinda Morrison, gives us an in-depth lesson on what it is and the various ways a man can be affected by an unhealthy prostate.
Listen, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If a man decides to come into my office and says, Doc, I'm not gonna allow you to do my rectal exam, I just want the blood test, he's gonna have the blood test done because he's there. And the blood test by far is more superior or sensitive to the rectal exam. I let him know I would really prefer to do the physical exam as well, but I'm not going to let him go because he refused to do the physical exam.
Fears alleviated. So if you're a man of 40 years and older, you should be going to get your prostates evaluated. The earlier the better, because if a man starts showing symptoms of prostate cancer, it is usually at an advanced stage.
So let's talk about early stage prostate cancer that is localized to the prostate and has not gone outside. It can be cured. So men can be cured of prostate cancer. Men have been cured of prostate cancer, either through surgery, where we as urologists remove that prostate, or through radiation, where radiation oncologists apply energy to the prostate over a period of time to kill prostate cells essentially. And those two methods are standard of care for cure. Does everybody who have prostate cancer need to have intervention with surgery or radiation? No. Some men who have innocuous or indolent disease, that means it was just incidentally discovered, but it will never cause any problems. And those men can have it watched. And we call that active surveillance, where we're actively monitoring them, where we're actively checking their PSA every 3 months, where we may decide to intervene if it's not quite behaving like low risk or innocuous cancer. And those men can be spared intervention or potential complications of intervention. But if the disease is thought to be significant, and this will be based on a clinical data that we have, then it can be cured. But usually cured is if the prostate cancer is localized to the prostate, if at all, maybe going just a little outside. If there is spread to distant areas, to the bone, to the spine, to other organs, we cannot offer cure. However, we can offer hormonal therapy, which helps suppress the cancer, and it can remain suppressed for a very, very long time. And this suppression is offered in the form of what we call androgens, androgen blockers. They may be availed through traditionally removing the testes, done much less than before, or medications, tablets that are taken, or chiefly through injectables that are given every 3 months. Chemotherapy can be offered in the early stage for prostate cancer, combined with hormones, and you find that you have a longer period of response to treatment. My message to men regarding prostate cancer and prostate screening: come in and get your checks done. The test, the physical exam, is not painful. It is brief, it takes 5 minutes, and it's a simple and quick test to do. But if there is even a challenge, know that the blood test is far more sensitive in detecting abnormality. We need to save our lives. We need our men for our country. Come in and get tested.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. Investors can be on the lookout for income from dividends from corporate entities. Grace Kennedy Limited has advised that a meeting of its board of directors will be held on Wednesday, July 31, 2024, to consider a resolution for the declaration of an interim dividend to be paid in September 2024. A.S. Bryden and Sons Holdings Limited has advised that at a board of directors meeting scheduled to be held on July 29, 2024, consideration will be given to the payment of a preference dividend. Dollar Financial Services has declared an interim dividend payment of 0.059 cents per share payable on August 30, 2024 to shareholders on record as at August 16, 2024. The ex-dividend date is August 16, 2024. Jamaica Promotions Corporation says 406 applications were received for the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative by the April 28, 2024 deadline. This call is for persons to benefit from the $1 billion Jamaican film initiative by the government of Jamaica, which seeks to support and strengthen the local screen-based industries. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, says this move will position Jamaica as a formidable player in the global film market. The Jamaica Public Service Company has appointed a new president and CEO. Hugh Grant will assume the role on August 1, 2024. The JPS says Mr. Grant has more than 25 years of experience in the utility business, with industry knowledge across the generation, transmission, and distribution sectors of the industry. He was previously at Consolidated Edison Company, the energy firm that supplies the 10 million people of New York and Westchester in the United States. JPS says Mr. Grant is of Jamaican origin. During trading for the period of July 22, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Movie theater company Palace Amusement Company with 11,512,136 units, amounting to 52.26% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 2,045,392 units, amounting to 9.29% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Edufocal Limited with 2,032,611 units, amounted to 9.23% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Over on the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, trading on July 22, 2024, registered a volume of 35,422 shares, crossing the floor of the exchange valued at 461,124 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 10 cents. Trinidad Cement was the volume leader, with 15,000 shares changing hands for a value of 39,000 Trinidad and Tobago dollars, followed by Massey Holdings Limited with a volume of 11,760 shares being traded for 42,515 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 75 cents. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies, we turn to the Forex market. On July 22, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $56.3 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $60.9 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.05 and bought the US dollar for $155.38. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.67, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $2.01 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $115.48 and bought for $113.47. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $3.79, selling it for $203.79 and buying it for $199.99. For our credit report tip of the day, we continue to look at how you can use your career to boost your credit worthiness and grow your credit score in order to open more doors and financial freedom. So here are some actionable steps you can take. We recommend you build a budget. And what we mean is monitor your spending, keep track of your daily spending activities, and then put it in categories so you can know what's happening. Are you overspending in food and such? So a well-managed budget helps you avoid late payments and reduces the risk of accumulating debt. The second tip is to utilize direct deposit. Set up direct deposit to your paycheck to ensure timely payment of bills. If you automate your finances, it reduces the likelihood of missed payments, a key factor in maintaining a good credit score. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, UNECLAC, has responded to Barbados' request for a damage and loss assessment. The agency has sent down a team to the island to cost the impact of Hurricane Beryl on Barbados' fishing, tourism, and coastal sectors. Crystal Hoyt files this report.
A team from the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean is in Barbados to conduct a damage and loss assessment. Their mission relates to the passage of Hurricane Beryl on July 1st. Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman, said the assessment will aid in government's decision-making process.
The purpose of ECLAC being here this week is really to help the country to see from an assessment point of view damage as well, where we are. And that will also allow the government to be able to be in a position to cost these things and to be able to then plan our response going forward with respect to how do we build back. And one of the things that became very clear this morning is the whole issue of resilience. Small island developing states, it's no secret that we have continued to have challenges with respect to our infrastructure and the resilience of that.
With infrastructure a priority, Minister Blackman was asked about the absence of an enforceable building code in Barbados. This was his response.
The issue of the building code is a priority for government, not just the government of Barbados, across the region, given the impact that climate change is having on our infrastructure. How we build is going to be particularly important, and therefore our architects, our builders have to work hand in hand in ensuring not just that we build stronger, but that we can build in a way that is still very pleasing to the eye, but that the infrastructure of our properties, of our roads, of our buildings can withstand high levels of impact.
He added that consideration will be given not just to how buildings are constructed, but also where. Dr. Omar Bello, the assessment team's coordinator, said it will be a comprehensive evaluation.
This is a multidisciplinary team. Here we have structural engineers, agricultural engineers, economists, and different professionals in order to do these assessments.
The report is expected to be completed within 4 weeks. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
In Belize, the Ministry of Health and Wellness confirmed on Monday that the number of COVID-19 cases is on the rise in the country. Over the past 4 weeks, the ministry has observed a steady increase in infections, with the Belize district being the most affected area. Dr. Russell Manzanero, director of the epidemiology unit, spoke to News 5 via Zoom. Brittany Gordon has that story.
The number of COVID cases in the country is on the rise.
We're seeing just an increase of cases everywhere. It's global. So those cases are being seen again on the rise. As a matter of fact, COVID never left us. I mean, COVID has been here, and I believe it will be here to stay. It's just that we are having these numbers, and of course, those that are testing is not, let's say, adequate enough because people are still not testing enough. We're not doing that testing, so it's severely underreported at this time.
Which means that the number might be higher than it is on paper. Director of the Epidemiology Unit in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Russell Manzanero, told News 5 that for the past 4 weeks, the ministry has been recording a slight increase in cases. He says that the Belize district is recording the highest number of COVID cases.
We do have, of course, based on population size, of course, we're talking about Belize district. We have a lot of mobility in the Belize district, and by Belize district, I'm referring even to the Keys. So a lot of interaction, a lot of movement there. So when we're talking about these movement of individuals, all of that, the tourism sector it's booming. So we do have a lot of interaction with a lot of people. I'm not saying the tourists per se, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of involvement, interaction between individuals. Whenever that happens, you see an increase of cases of respiratory illnesses. And by that, I also mean COVID.
According to Dr. Manzanero, there has not been a severe COVID case or a COVID-related death recently. Cases have been moderate, with most being among the vulnerable population.
We have had a few admissions for COVID. Still, there are moderate cases, which means that they're on high flow oxygen. Nobody ventilated, nobody like that. And the people we're seeing basically, again, is in our high risk group. So over the past days, perhaps we're seeing an increase of cases in the elderly population. So we still have to take care of our elderly population. You know, when you go visit your grandparents or your mother, your father, you still have to take those things into consideration. So if you have only flu or anything like that, make sure you use a mask if you know they're ill. But that doesn't mean if your mom or your grandmother is a diabetic or have cancer or anything like that, you take your measures and you protect them too. So you have to wear the mask as well. What we have seen in the past, I believe for a month now, so for the 4 weeks now, we've been seeing like a slight increase in cases, not significantly to say, okay, we have one outbreak or so. It's more so these cases are starting to pop up once more. Similarly, we're seeing other cases of flu viruses. So even though we have COVID, we also have influenza, we have RSV. So all of those other viruses are also circulating.
In sports, we begin on the tracks with athletics. Reigning Olympic champion Hansel Parchment says he is ready to defend his title in the men's 110-meter hurdles event at the Paris Games. Parchment, who has been having a quiet season so far, will enter the Olympic Games with a season's best 13.19 seconds, which he achieved at the National Stadium in Kingston last month. The under-20 Reggae boys are at the bottom of the table as they fell 3-0 to Costa Rica in their second game of the Group A at the CONCACAF Men's Under-20 Championships. The young Reggae boys, who were hammered 9-0 by the USA in their first game on Friday, are at the bottom of the group without a point, while Costa Rica drew 1-1 against Cuba in their first game. USA stands at the top of the table on 6 points after beating Cuba 4-0 on Monday. Jamaica will close out the group stage action against Cuba on Tuesday. And on the pitch with cricket, the West Indies under-19 women were recently in a training camp in Trinidad ahead of their matches against the USA under-19 women. TTT Sport caught up with head coach Shane Dietz at one of the team's sessions.
Upon completion of the Cricket West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 tournament in TNT, the top performers remained for a high-performance training camp that precedes the games against the visiting USA Under-19 women. Head coach Shane Dietz explained the main purpose of this camp.
In these sessions, what we're working on is trying to up our strike rate during matches. So we're trying to really work on a bit more power hitting and accessing the ground 360 degrees. So that's the main thing. Through the statistics and the data, we're not hitting enough boundaries compared to the top teams. We're doing a lot of the other things really good, but we're just a bit short on boundaries. So working on accessing a few more areas of the field to hit boundaries and a bit of power hitting. Trying to improve the players' skills. You know, each player needs to get better. As I said, we're trying to access the boundaries a bit more. So with the WCPL coming up, the T20 World Cup coming up, we want to give our players the best opportunity and practice to be able to hit the boundaries all around the field, and obviously rotate, strike, all those things come with it. But a few more boundaries are going to give the players more chance to play better in the WCPL and in the World Cup.
Dietz says all aspects of strength and conditioning are being worked on and is happy with the development of the young talents.
Yeah, girls have been working really well, so there's a long way to go. But yeah, we're progressing each day, getting better, and that's all you can do, just get better each day. So I'm really proud of the girls and the effort they're putting in. They've got an open mind to come to training and learn new things and approach cricket differently, which I'm very proud of them, and it's been great working with them. Loving coaching the girls. It's been a great nearly a year now, and we've really been working hard to try to improve in all areas. So we've got a lot of work to do to catch up with the top teams in the world, but it's been a great privilege coaching the girls and working with them, and we've got to get as much work done as possible because we've got a long way to catch up the top teams in the world.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Remember, we are the People's Station.